Hello, my name is Fenna. Welcome to Following Fenna. I'm a certified coach and counselor, and I work with people in a Limerence episode and also with their partner. Now, today I'm talking about the aftermath of limerence, all the things that you can and will experience after you went no contact. And if this is you and you are thinking, or you already planned, or you already did no contact, in this video I will tell you everything that will happen. I wished someone had told me back in the days, and I'm going to explain you what that is. If you are considering breaking a trauma bond, a toxic situationship, or a limerence situationship, or maybe you are already in low or no contact, congratulations. And I know that you're probably not dancing around with joy, but please write down, remember this date, because it's the date you got your life back, and the future you will love you for that, and the future you will love this date. But okay, here I am. I'm here to guide you through the bumpy ride of the grief following a toxic situation or a limerence situation. And I'm gonna explain everything, all the tricks that Mother Nature has upon her sleeve. And I'm gonna explain to you that everything you think and feel is completely normal. First, I want to explain to you, because I think it's important, why this hurts so much. Even though for some people, they have not even seen the other person that much, or sometimes even not even in real life. But your system doesn't care, because you probably felt incredibly connected to this person, and your brain processes rejection or disconnection like physical pain. Actually, studies using MRI scans show that rejection, or sometimes perceived rejection, or breaking in connection, disconnecting, activates the same brain regions as actually physical pain. So the brain doesn't fully distinguish between emotional pain and physical injury. And your brain reacts the same as if you're wounded. We can also feel incredibly abandoned, even if we were the one that made the choice to leave. Another reason why this hurts so much is that your attachment system gets in shock after you go no contact. And from our childhood, our nervous system, we learn to seek attachment. It's our way to survive as a human being. In adulthood, romantic partners often become our primary attachment figures. And primary attachment figures are our source to safety, identity, and emotional regulation. And when that bond is broken, your attachment signal system goes in panic mode, and you can feel anxious, crying, ungrounded, physically ill. It's a shock. It's actually the same stress response, the biological stress response, when we are unsafe as a child. Because to your nervous system, this is what it feels like. It's blowing off all these alarms. The next reason why you feel so bad is that your neurochemistry crashes. And during the love and bonding phase, your brain releases a lot of oxytocin. That's for bonding. Dopamine, of course, it's pleasure and reward, and the serotonin for emotional stability and regulation also. So when the system or the situation ends, all of that crashes and you become very dysregulated. Your hormones or neurotransmitters become very dysregulated, and we feel that because, for example, the lack of dopamine after we go no contact makes us feel hopeless and gray, and the spark is gone and our libido for life, and we worry that we'll never be happy again. And a drop of serotonin makes us feel emotional unstable. Also, our nervous system gets into a fight or flight mode after a breakup, and it activates our sympathetic nervous system. And this means that we have all these physical symptoms, panic attacks, insomnia, hyper-focused, getting triggered and obsessed. And this hurts so much. Another reason why this hurts so much and this feels so bad is that you probably lost a little bit of your identity. And in long-term emotional connections, we often merge our identity with this other person in the hopefully joint future together. And when they leave, this feels like this piece is missing. And this can even, evoke a existential crisis. Who am I without this hope, without this person, without this future that I imagined? Because you're not only grieving a person, you're grieving of a version of yourself with this person, but also all the fantasy and also all the hope for the future that lived with you for probably some months. Another reason could be childhood wounds that are triggered. Disconnection and breaks up can kind of reopen old wounds, abandonment, neglect, not feeling good enough, the fear of not being loved enough. So if that is reopened, these wounds are reopened, it can also explain why this can feel so big. So yeah, we feel really bad. What else can we expect? Well, we can expect some biases because the force of attachment will try to bring you back in contact. And Mother Nature has some tricky tricks up her sleeve. For example, feeling guilty towards your limerent object, the other person, shame towards yourselves, and them thinking that the grief takes too long, that something is out of the ordinary, that we might as well be in contact, otherwise we will never be happy. Thinking that we can make some sort of deal with the other to stay in contact, but also disconnect or regulate at the same time. And I've heard bargaining, like if I ask the other person to call me every Wednesday, so it will take out the unpredictability of the contact, I can regulate. Or what if I go to a therapist and I heal my wounded inner child really quick so I can not be limerent anymore, but I can still remain in contact with this other person. I mean, bargaining is completely normal in grief. Breaking contact with an attachment figure, again, should hurt evolutionary. And it should be doubted and it should be reconsidered over and over for weeks. Again, from evolutionary stance, not from limerence stance, because going no contact is the healthiest thing you can do. Even though the pain can be overwhelming, humbling even. Like I said, it can feel like a existential crisis or something bigger than we ever experienced. That was how it was for me anyway. This was bigger than anything that I ever had to go through. But it had to be done, and there are some silver linings, and I'm going to get into that at the end of this video. Okay, what else can you expect? Well, thinking that we can and should do something to feel better or to stop the grief, because grief hurts, and grief always takes longer than we expected it to take, and that we have the patience and the energy for. I was kind of hoping that my limerent grief would be done around 3 months and then I would be completely fresh and jumping with joy. Well, I did jump with joy, but not in 3 months. And maybe it's good, but I don't know. I didn't know how long this would take. And I didn't realize how slowly the pain would go away. So after 1 year, I also got a little bit worried. I was like, is this normal? Why am I still unhappy and in pain after 1 year? Is there something wrong? Maybe I can do something, seek help, do some sort of therapy. I want the pain to end. It's been long enough. But people, I cannot stress this enough. There is absolutely no time frame for grief, but grief is the tool to feel better in the future. So if you're still in pain, hooray! That's an indication and even a prediction that you're detaching and therefore you will not have pain anymore in the future. Pain means no pain in the future. Grief is the tool. And again, disconnecting hurts, but it's effective and it's necessary. Expecting other things like wanting better closure, which is often just a sneaky way of your manipulative mind to make a little contact again, / feel some relief from the stress and the anxiety that comes from detaching. And I don't recommend to slip up every week, to relapse every week, but if we do, it's not the end of the world. Maybe your stressed out nervous system needed a little break for a few days, and after we continue no contact. And this time, maybe forever. Like I always say, walking away, choosing no contact, breaking an attachment which was important to you usually goes in steps and phases. It's almost never successful in the first attempt. I decide to walk away and voila, 12 months after, I never been in contact again, not once. That's not very realistic. Normally it's like, okay, first attempt, second attempt, bigger mess, third attempt, even bigger mess, fourth attempt, bingo. Especially when there is mutual limerence or a toxic relating where there is a lot of push and pull involved. And this becomes this cycle, the toxic dance of hope and sadness, I call it. Okay, what else can we expect? The ever so crazy making two voices at the same time, the voice of reason and the voice of limerence simultaneously, together at the same time. The one voice saying, oh no, why did you break this contact? Why do you let this person go? Maybe it's different in the future. There's hope yet. Maybe they come back, blah, blah, blah. The other voice saying, please, please, please disconnect this time. You are miserable. It is absolutely normal to have these even conflicting voices at the same time for months or even years. And you will notice over time that the addiction voice will be less frequent or less demanding after a while. Sometimes it will still try to convince you of, breaking no contact, but it will not be so strong and not so manipulative as in the first months. What else to expect after no contact? The toe dipping after 3 months. When we start to feel a little bit better, a little bit more regulated, then we usually can expect a little slip up. Because we think then we have it all under control now. this time I can handle. I know better. I know now what to do, what not to do, and this time I can just deal with the situation. But no, you can't. But maybe you needed another attempt just to be sure. What else can you think? Thinking that you will never be happy without this person is completely normal in the aftermath, which, there is no evidence or proof. I mean, why would you never be happy? You've loved before. So you'll probably love again, and thinking you will never be happy without this horrible, destructive addiction is actually a symptom of an addiction. Of course you're going to feel better. Of course you're going to feel better without the addiction of limerence. And yes, you will be more happy, not less happy. Sometimes, especially in the bargain phase, people feel a lot of shame, and it will take some time to process and to come to terms with that. That is also very normal, and it will get better. Sometimes we literally have to repair some of the damage we have done due to the addiction. Because addictions make us selfish, irresponsible, harmful, and unempathic, to name some things, because our brain changed due to addiction and our whole system wanted only one thing, which was attention from this or validation from this other person / dopamine from this other person, by the way. Limerence makes many victims, but also know that you were in an altered state. That means that you were thinking, feeling, and acting differently than you normally would. And I hope you have some compassion to that. We're not in our right mind. That doesn't justify everything, of course, but please know that we were in an altered state, and maybe you still are. Our brain was different, our hormones were different, and we slowly trained our brain unawarely into an addiction due to the intermittent rewards. Okay, now I kind of know what is coming my way. That's not very pleasant. Is there a plus side to all this? Yes. After all the crying, and the crying your eyes out for months maybe, which is also really normal. Yes, there is a very, very, very big plus side. A huge one, because limerence brings all unmet needs to the surface. The things we maybe didn't even know that were missing. The grief that we didn't even know was not done yet. And the better version of ourselves is waiting to be formed. Because limerence is a mirror, and our limerent object, the other person, is just a passenger. In most cases, to show you what is lacking within. It had nothing to do with them. They just had the task to make you think and review your life. They're not supposed to stay, even though that's what you want now. In the aftermath, you will automatically think a lot, review a lot, analyze a lot. And I know that's crazy making, but it's also necessary to grow, to prioritize your values again. I've always kind of taken my relationships for granted, but after the limerence, I nourish my relationships. I live with more integrity now. I'm more honest now, and of course I'm the same, but I'm also a completely different person, and I am so happy about that. I've made goals for myself in the aftermath. I've stuck to them, and during the grief, I had this tremendous need for serene things, serenity. At the time, I opened a plant nursery. I've done volunteer work for injured animals. I've started paintings. I needed to do things that were meaningful, that mattered. And sometimes trauma gives also mission. For example, I wanted to dedicate my life to inform you about limerence and toxic relationships. Doing meaningful and creative things brings a bit of your identity back, and it slowly refills also your tank of dopamine. Learning new things, new skills, even if you're not good at it, learning new skills stimulates the neuroplasticity, meaning the enforcing your brain, basically. It overrides all experiences, and it also helps you to process things, and it gives you a bit of control. You are doing things to help your recovery. So doing things that you like, that you find meaningful, creative things, gives you fertile soil. Your brain and your identity, also not only your brain, but also your identity, are flexible. They are expandable. Also, in the aftermath, you can have a look at what needs attention. Maybe there were still childhood wounds that need to be addressed. Maybe your marriage became a little bit boring or still, or you didn't take care of the marriage that much anymore, or you did not take care of yourself for a long time. What was under the surface? Are there skills that you want to learn? Like I said, now is the fertile soil. Say no, for example, set better boundaries, experience or learn to set better boundaries, or even play the piano. And please don't feel bad if you're not doing all this. If you just want to, I don't know, go to work and take care of your kids and just survive in your daily life, and you're not learning to play the piano or cure poverty or whatever, because inside your body, it is anyway zooming with change. New brain cells, new pathways, expanding of the brain, new neurotransmitters, new hormonal balance, new insights, processing, working through, cleaning, storing, and restoring. Everything inside you is helping you to rebuild and get over this. Even if you're not devoting your life to helpless plants, there is a world inside you going on. And you don't see it, but you can feel it after a while. And you can just let it happen and give it all the time it needs. If you are in the aftermath of limerence, please leave a comment, because we are collecting information about limerence. And for now, I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.